Welcome to Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. I'm so glad you're with us wherever you're joining us. If you're joining us here on television here in Santa Barbara, California at TVSB, we welcome you. And of course, so many of you are joining us at goodlifetelevision.org and the YouTube channel that is relatively new, but we're seeing a lot of you join us there. And then over the last few months, we've rolled out a podcast where all these interviews are on a podcast platform. So any of the podcast platforms you can go to and just search for Good Life Conversations. And we're seeing you from all over the world join us there, which is so fantastic. We're talking about the good stuff, the good life. And that doesn't mean that there's not difficulty. That doesn't mean there's not suffering. That doesn't mean there's not challenges. But what we're dwelling on is the good stuff. So we're glad you are doing it with us. I'm so excited about my guest today. I was thinking about this all weekend. Holly Simon is with me. Holly, welcome.
Thank you so much. Honored to be here.
And I'll just give a quick introduction. I mean, the Holly and I were just talking before we came on that we both have 5 kids, and one of them has special abilities, and so ours is our daughter had a stroke in the womb and has cerebral palsy, and Holly's been given the gift of Nate, who we'll talk about a lot in this interview. So we both have 5, and with one with these special abilities, and it's been life-changing, I think, for both of us. They've started something called 21 Pineapples. The number 21pineapples.com is the website. And we're going to be talking about that as well. Holly's the executive director of that, and she works with her son, Nate, and they make these great Hawaiian shirts that I'm asking for one of them for Christmas.
Or 2 or 3.
Or 2 or 3 or 5.
Yes.
Yeah. So Holly, tell us,
Yes,
before we get into all this, where were you born and raised, and what was your upbringing like?
Great question. I was actually born in Detroit, Michigan, but I was raised in the suburbs of Chicago called Oak Park, Illinois, famous for the Frank Lloyd Wright homes. My upbringing was pretty normal for those days. Have one sister, mom and a dad. Unfortunately, both have passed. But a wonderful childhood filled with a lot of great memories and great foundation, and couldn't have asked for more.
And did you always want to have a big family?
You know, it's funny. I only have the one sister, but I somehow have this unbelievable amount of love, and I truly would have had 10. I mean, I would have had 20. But my husband wanted 2. So I had to sneak in 3 more. And then as Nate being my last, that was God's way of saying, okay, Holly, you're done at 5. You have a lot of work to do. So 5 is where I ended. But I'll tell you, if I had the means, I would adopt a nation. I have so much love. I have so much love to give.
I love it. You remind me of my mom.
Oh, I hear that a lot. In a good way. In a good way. Just last night, I got a call from someone who's like, you know, I never had a mom, but there's something about you that makes me feel safe. And I thought, well, that must be the gift I was given, because I love children that think they're broken, because they're clearly not. But I love to find their strengths and their beautiful qualities, and then showcase the world with their beauty. And we're doing that.
Oh, it's so good. My mom was by the way, this is interesting. My mom was also born in Detroit, Michigan, if you can believe it.
That's crazy. Grosse Pointe Woods, to be exact. If that means anything. Wow. Yeah, crazy.
Well, there you go. There you have it. So, and so you're still in the Chicago area, right?
Yeah, I live on the south side of Chicago. Correct.
Okay. Yeah, and Holly's been given humanitarian awards. It's amazing. She spent the last 19 years working to kind of change the perception of people with disabilities. So let's start with Nate's birth. Great. So take us back to that day and kind of walk us through those early moments.
I would love to. 19 years ago, when I was about to give birth to my 5th child, I knew what the outcome was going to be. I mean, you were in the delivery room, you know, it's pretty much the same routine as we thought. And then within minutes of Nathaniel's birth, he didn't cry. And it's for a mom and a dad, and actually my mother at the time, you would go into the sheer panic of, why are they not crying? Oh my goodness. So as I'm laying on the bed, realizing the silence is deafening in the room, I look over at my husband, who's looking over our son with a nurse, and I heard him, believe it or not, whisper. He thought he was whispering, "Do you see what I see?" And to that, I panicked and I went into a sheer psychotic episode. "What do you mean? Do you see what I see?" And to that, she said, "Yes, I do." Within minutes, then my husband came over to my bedside and he whispered, "Holly, I think our son has Down syndrome." Now, I wish we could go back in time because I didn't know what that meant then, 19 years ago. So the doctors and the nurses immediately told me that they were sorry. Their heads went down. I knew that a birth was full of jubilation. I had had four. I knew what that felt like, and I knew that it should have been coming. Instead, I was invited into this mourning, into this darkness, and I assumed the sorry meant Nate was going to die or that he'd be some sort of fright. I have one regret in this whole lifetime, and that regret is that I didn't hold him right away. I was petrified at what I would see. But seconds later, I said, "Give me my baby." And funny, looked just like my other babies, smelled like my other babies, had the same toes and fingers. And I remember thinking, what are they talking about? What is this that I don't know of? So I instinctually whispered into Nate's ear, "Nate, no one will ever say sorry about you again."
Hmm.
And it was that mother bear that just woke up. And it's funny because that quote changed the trajectory of my life. And um so his birth was frightening and it was scary and it was dark and it was unfortunate. And I realized early on what a mistake that was to say sorry. We came
Right.
home with a baby, but people sent us sympathy cards. They sent us, well, they didn't know what to say, plenty of people. And I wanted to teach the world to say congratulations. I just had a
Mhm.
baby.
Right.
I didn't have a Down syndrome something. I had a child that has Down syndrome.
Right.
So we got some great advice from a girlfriend. She said, "Bring a baby home. Bring that baby home. Baby, baby, bring the baby." And I heard her. And so Nate became a baby. He didn't become a Down syndrome child. His first year was rough. He was dismissed by doctors. Hard for a lot of the public to believe. And he almost died on their watch. And of course, I found that doctor and said, "You will never neglect another child like Nate again."
Hmm.
Back 20 years ago, our kids weren't deemed that worthy. Things are changing. And it takes moms and dads like you to get the world to change their 1960s perception of
Right.
what and who our kids are. So
Right.
Nate came to a completely dysfunctional family of seven, and we treated him just like everyone else, completely the same. This is actually something that's separate from our new company, 21 Pineapples. But I decided early on to start a 501(c)(3), a foundation, so I could teach others that there is no sorry. So we went around to hospitals and nurses and doctors and colleges and grade schools, because I think it all begins at the kitchen table, of course, when your kids are
Right.
little. But to say, listen, hear me out. Look at this young man. Not only is he beautiful, but he is just full of magic. There was nothing to be sorry about. Let's change that whole notion that our kids can only achieve it to here. Let's start shattering those glass ceilings and show people our kids are worth so much more. So that foundation I ran for 10 years and we really changed the world and it was magical. And then COVID hit and I realized I wasn't comfortable asking for donations, but I continued with my own personal journey of volunteering all the time that I could find. And then my Nathaniel became famous on TikTok, the good old TikTok. And I could see this magic happening. And I thought, we have to do something about this magic. I can't just let him keep it. We need to spread it. So we
Right.
were in LA and he met two celebrities and they said, "Nate, we're here to change the world. What do you think we should do?" And without missing a beat, my son said, "Love." I think we should love more. And these two grown men started to cry. And that's when I thought, oh my goodness, we are on to something.
Yeah.
And that's how 21 Pineapples was born. So we've never stopped the fight. And unfortunately, it is a fight.
Yeah.
But like I said to another mom last week, we all have to fight, and yet we're not fighters. We're lovers. We want to
Right.
love. But in order to get our children anywhere, we've got to be loud, and we've got to keep knocking the doors down.
Right.
Um, and just when you think you've gone really far, you get I got a, you're going to crack up. Not really, but I got a letter last week saying, help me. The woman's a little older than I am. My boyfriend keeps using the R word, and I don't know how to educate him. Really? We're there? we're still there? So it just gives you perseverance. It just gives you more fuel to your flame that there's still a lot of work for us.
Right. Well, there's whole countries that abort Down syndrome children.
I had to prove that to a friend because they did not believe me.
Yeah.
It's
I
true.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Well, it's funny. People never get this aha moment either. But if you think of Hollywood, think of all the celebrities in your lifetime. How many have had Down syndrome children? Now they're coming forward. There's been two in People magazine in the last 3 years. So the abortion rate is so gigantic. And I don't want to get into anything political. And that's, again, I can only live for my life. But these kids bring you more magic
Yeah.
than trouble. Let me tell you, it's difficult. You have a child with
Yeah.
special abilities. It's not
Yeah.
easy,
Right.
but I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Right.
Normal's boring. I don't want a room full of normal
Right.
people anyway.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right. And when did easy become the goal, by the way? I mean, this is planet Earth. I mean, just kind of a,
I'm still
memo
searching for
memo
it
to
though.
humanity that this is not an easy place to live.
That's right, Dean. It isn't.
Yeah.
But again, unfortunately, for us, it's difficult. Can you imagine being a child with a disability,
Right.
a
Right.
and let's even go for a minute into autism, which is 1 in 6 boys um, are diagnosed every day. They don't have a face,
Right.
so people understand less about
Right.
them.
Right.
So we, as a country, Lord have mercy, have to learn compassion, but we have to start educating ourselves that we're different. We're all different.
Yeah.
And you see a child having a meltdown, it's not because he has a bad parent. Maybe he
Right.
does, but maybe he's got something going on over sensory,
Right.
or whatnot. We have
Right.
to stop labeling and judging. And again, it's beautiful to see it when it's working. But then it's awfully sad to continue to get the emails saying, my son has no friends, he's getting bullied. It's hard. It's hard to change something that's been instilled in Americans for a long time. But we're
Right.
getting there. We're
Yeah.
getting one shirt at a time.
It's so good. So
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah. And the shirt, by the way, you're wearing, be a good human. So the messages of some of these young people, your son talking about
Mhm.
love, my daughter, every day this morning I see her. I mean, she is ecstatic to be awake at
Mm,
6:30 this morning, talking about Monday. Bueno, what did she say? Feliz whatever Monday is in Spanish. She likes Spanish better than English.
I
But
love that.
she's celebrating Monday morning at 6:30. I'm going, what planet are we on?
I
But
know.
that's, she wakes up with joy for the week, and she's always talking about being together, and she's always talking about this is my best day ever. And then she's all,
Oh,
she doesn't have an attitude problem. I have an attitude problem.
well, right,
Right.
Dean? Like the joke's on you. It's her world. You
Right.
just get to live in it. Yeah.
Right.
And that's the part, like, we all need to humble ourselves down and be like, you're right. I got a chance to I'm a cancer survivor. I got the chance to put my feet on the ground this morning. I'm
Right.
blessed.
Yeah.
So you're right. Looking
Yeah.
into the lives of your daughter, my son, it gives us that realization that this is all a gift. And what
Right.
we make of it is our own choice. You can still be happy, choose to be happy, even in the
Right.
worst of circumstances.
Right.
But what we have to lead without our ego, and we have to start leading without fear. And we just need to love and learn compassion. And I
Yeah.
think we're close. We're getting there. Um,
Yeah, it takes a while for people like me to get it, but we're getting there. It's a little bit at a
yeah,
time.
we'll knock you in the head a
I
couple times.
had a we had a Down syndrome young man named John on our program who's out of New York who's
Some crazy
doing
socks.
crazy socks. You've heard of them.
Great friends. Great
And so
friends.
they're just incredible. And John, when he sends the socks, I wore my American flag socks yesterday from that I got from John. He
Good.
sends, he sent them all to every member of Congress. And
Oh,
sometimes, and his message is somebody asked him, like, what's your message? Why are you sending these to all members of Congress? And his message was, stop fighting.
yeah.
And I
Through the
thought,
mouths of babes. Yeah.
yeah, right. Your son's message, love. My
Just
daughter's
love.
message, my daughter's message of let's be together
Uh-huh.
and this is the best day ever. And then
Best day
John
ever.
Crazy Socks,
And
saying,
Nate's is be a good human, just love, and let's eat whatever we can. That's his mantra for life. That's all he cares about. What's my next meal? What can we eat
oh,
next?
I
Um,
love it.
but the other thing too that people don't understand about kids like ours is they have zero judgment. They
Yeah,
don't care what you have in your wallet at
right.
all. And
Yeah,
I'll never be ignorant to say that he doesn't see color. Well, we all see color, but he doesn't judge anything. He
right,
doesn't care what side you're on. He doesn't care what country you're from.
right.
If you're kind to him, he'll give you the shirt off his back. Um, literally, and he has. So I think the messages are we put these shirts together after it comes out of his mouth. So
Yeah,
everything is innateism. And if any of your people are on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, he's one of the funniest human beings I've ever met. And he's so quick-witted. But he really believes in kindness. And if it takes a 19-year-old with Down syndrome to show America that there's more than what you see, let's do it.
yeah.
Let's
So good. What's his handle on all these platforms? Nate Simon?
Yeah, well, actually, as his momager, and because I need to protect him at all costs, because I would love to tell you there's not hate out there, but there is. On Instagram, it's Holly and Nate. On TikTok, it's Make Nate the Great. Again, he's known as the king of TikTok. He's almost at 1 million followers. So now wherever we go, he's recognized, which is so darn adorable. And then on Facebook, it's under Holly Simon.
Okay. We gotta get everybody to follow this. This is
You
fantastic.
got it.
My
He
wife just had me set up a TikTok account a few months ago, so I'm just getting started. I haven't really figured it out, but I'm gonna
Dean,
go
be
watch him.
careful. Be careful. You'll go down a rabbit hole, and next thing you know, you're going to be eating things that you've never thought were edible, and you're gonna, yeah. I send my kids, you guys, I'm addicted to this woman. She just eats and makes noises. My kids are like, "Are you okay?" No, it's TikTok. But
Right,
when you
right.
see Nate is he's a born comedian, and again, people are always so shocked. I want to lose that shock.
Yeah,
Because again, our kids, Dean, can be anything and anyone they want to be.
yeah. I totally agree that, and well, there a couple different thoughts come to mind. One is the gifts, sometimes I think and with children with special needs and
Mhm.
as they become young people, there certainly are medical
Mm.
issues that some of them face, some of them worse than others. I mean, we've had several surgeries, but fundamentally she's actually been very healthy, just
Wonderful.
medically,
Yeah.
which we're grateful for.
Right.
But I think, one of the things I've tried to, my perspective has changed. Number one, so we're people of faith, and at this point, I'm very, very clear that
Hmm.
Ella Claire's stroke didn't sneak up on God.
Hmm.
He knew exactly, like, she was made like she is
Hmm.
for a purpose. This is not a mistake, accident, blah, the whole thing you're saying about, I'm sorry. I mean, it's nobody to be sorry. Like, we are grateful. We've had 20 years now with Ella Claire, and it's been life changing for us. I mean,
Hmm.
it's changed everything. I can't even imagine. I can't even really imagine what our life would be without her and our family with her unique And so I've been unpacking kind of recently, like,
Mhm.
what are her gifts?
Mm,
Just like we do for
mhm,
kids that don't have a brain injury, like
mhm,
Claire does,
mhm,
or a Down syndrome
mhm,
diagnosis.
mhm,
What are the unique gifts that she brings to the table? And so one of them, I'll just tell you
mhm,
about this because it may
mhm,
spark something, but there's a nonprofit in our town here that helps these young people
mhm,
uh, get jobs.
mm,
They actually pay them. They find
mhm,
a place to work.
mhm.
This organization hires and pays them. So she's actually coming to work for our foundation here. And what I'm going to have her do is she's going to be the chief encouragement officer of the Turner Foundation.
That's
So she is
amazing.
going to, because she loves nothing more than to call people, text people, and she just wants to check on them. Last night she has a heart for people. Like last night, her
Mhm,
brother DJ is sick right now, so he's on the couch. So
mm,
we're praying last night before we go to bed, like we always do. About 9:47 p.m. She calls me,
mhm,
or I'm there, and she said, and we pray, and she says, Dad, tonight before we pray, we need to pray for DJ because she said, because I really don't like it. She said, Dad, you know how I feel that if somebody that I know is not feeling well, I really care about them. Like,
mm,
and I'm like, so encouragement, which I believe is actually a spiritual gift.
mhm, mhm.
I'm going to have her do nothing but be the chief encouragement officer for where she is going to call people, text
Love
people.
that.
Isn't that great?
I I'm gonna steal that, and I love that,
So
and
we
I
can think
agree.
about like Nate's obviously you've got him now with 21 pineapples. There's a
Yeah,
place he can
yeah.
thrive and he can move and he can build something,
Mhm, mhm,
and get his message out. But I think
mhm,
I just want to think, and I want to encourage people, if you're out there, you have a special needs child, you know of
mhm.
one, to think creatively, like try to see through all the things and get to the gifts. Am I
You
crazy
are
here?
so spot on, it's frightening. Just last week, I was on another podcast, and we were talking about jealousy within the Down syndrome community, how some parents are mad, hypothetically, that Nate might be able to speak more eloquently, or he's been able to do this. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've never even thought about that. Um, and I said, but wait, let's think outside the box. Everybody has a hidden talent.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's for us to help them find it. So a story, I volunteer at a school for adults with disabilities. One young man with cerebral palsy can only move his head, cannot speak. So I thought, he has a gift. I know it. I'm going to find it. So with his art teacher, we put a paintbrush on his helmet, and we allowed him to paint. And I took those paintings and created artwork and sold them for him. And he has a job now where
Oh,
nobody saw any opportunities.
right.
Think outside the box. So
Yes.
in Down syndrome world, I actually have a tattoo of it. We're called the lucky few, the chosen few. So I know I was given this gift.
Yeah.
I know I was. And I say every night, like I thank Nate and I thank God,
Yeah.
and then I say, what else can we do to make it a better world?
Yeah.
What, because he has so many gifts, I can't even keep counting them anymore. Because he surprises
Right.
me every day with something new. But
Right.
what can we, as advocates and parents, what can we do? And you hit
Right.
it on the nose. We can start thinking outside the box that there is something for everyone, hence 21 pineapples. um, Nate's school had written me that they were going to put him in custodial work. Now that's a great profession, but they didn't know him yet. So I
Right.
thought, why would you offer that to a young man? So I went to the principal, of course. I didn't go in kindly, but I went in and um, I spoke my truth. And then he said, Holly, there's not a lot of parents like you, for one. Okay, well, it's time for us to represent. And number two, there's nothing for our kids after 22. I said, challenge accepted. I will make jobs for those kids. Yeah, thank you. I'm already working
Oh,
on it.
Holly.
I'm working on it. So we've now, just last week, my friend, turned into a 501c3. So our mission is to employ as many children with all different abilities in warehouses, factories, fulfillment centers. We will have boutiques. I actually see no limit to this excitement.
Right. Right.
Um, my dream was always to, again, find talents of children. If they can paint, we'll put their artwork up. If they can talk, they can be the greeter. If they can't move, they will be our heart. Um, and so before I'm done on this earth, that I promised the principal will get done.
I love it. Oh, you're such a powerhouse. This is phenomenal. I'm so glad to know you.
Thank you.
Please give our best to Nate, and we
Thank
will
you.
check out all of his stuff. I will seriously be getting shirts, the Hawaiian shirts. You can't, you go to the website, but I'll just maybe they can see this. So this is Nate. That's Nate in one of the Hawaiian shirts you can see there. So I'm all over these Hawaiian shirts,
You're awesome.
and the Be a Good Human shirts. So 21 pineapples, the number 21 pineapples.com. Holly Simon, Mama Bear, advocate, powerhouse. You'd
Thank
fit
you.
right in with our family. I'm telling you, Holly.
I'll come.
You're
We're
in.
gonna
If
be
you're
in
ever in
LA
Southern
next
Cal, if
week.
you're in Southern California, come see us.
We go to LA a lot. Nate's a model for a big designer out there in Hollywood. So I'll see you.
Really?
I'll see you.
We
I'll
would
see you.
we would love to meet you guys.
It'll happen.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Dean. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.